Adam and Eve, have he existed? Or is it a legend? Well, for the Catholic Church, it must be affirmed, it is a dogmatic landmark. It means that both here engage the authority of the Church. Adam and Eve, their name does not matter, but Adam and Eve, that means a first man, a first real woman, whom we will see again in the other world, have existed. In 1968, when all the Catholic theologians, where practically all, begin to say that all this is a legend. That means that Adam and Eve are the symbol of a primitive hominid people, which is slowly evolving. Pope Paul VI, in a creed of the Catholic Church, will remember this thing: Adam and Eve are really a man and a woman, who have chosen. And here I would like to recall the 5 dogmatic references to this story. When I speak of dogmatic references, I mean that the Church engages its infallible authority, coming from a charism given by Christ. I prayed that your faith will not fail, says Jesus to whom he calls stone. First dogmatic landmark: Adam and Eve are real men and women. And their soul was created directly by the hand of God. It is a spiritual soul, which does not come from evolution. She is of another nature. Second dogma: if their spiritual soul and created by God, as far as their body is concerned, it is not up to the Church to take care of it. Is it made from red earth, as the letter of the Bible says? Or is it evolution? Is not. Say that science takes care of that thing. The origin of biology does not concern the doctrine of salvation. And Pope John Paul II, moreover, even says, evolution is undoubtedly more than a scientific hypothesis, now it is almost a certainty. There is one that. Therefore we see it, dogma does not contradict the research of science. He speaks of the spiritual soul. Adam and Eve may have been preceded by animal hominids, but Adam and Eve, since they existed, he is a man and a spiritual woman. Third, of men, they were not created in stupidity, and in the afternoon sun received an extraordinary original grace that made them wise. He knew what he was doing on earth and why he was on earth. He knew there was a life and he would not go through death. Fourth dogmatic landmarks: the commandment being to love God, to give life to children, to love the neighbor. They have a given moment, and out of pride, not by anything else, not by sexual desire, their perfection was that he controlled their bodies perfectly, but out of decided pride, to free himself from that tender presence of God, but which prevented them from doing what they wanted, when he wanted. Original sin is therefore a sin of pride. Fifth dogmatic landmark: consequently God obeyed them. And he hid while being present. He withdrew from this world by delivering them to their own freedom, also removing the graces that went with it. So that all revolts in their being, the body that no longer obeys the soul completely. Psychology who revolt against the will. All this God has allowed it, and death has arrived in the world. In that Adam and Eve normally were immortal. He would have been led to heaven by assumption, as was the Virgin Mary much later. Adam and Eve are really dead physically, but also spiritually by the loss of friendship with God.